We're trying it again. Hey, guys. We here.
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell y'all friends we back. We had to go spin on food stamps before the girl needed her car back. Come on in.
Oh my goodness.
We had a rough day. Today's a rough day, so we're gonna have a rough ass combo. We're not. Today was a rough day, but honestly, I feel much better that I have you guys here and we can just move side. And I'm actually really good. I'm good. Because I got you guys. You guys got options. We're kids and combos with Team Kids. Call y'all friends. Get the watch party started. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Friday.
I tell you one thing, she forget to turn that fan on.
Damn sure did. And I got on the whole sweatsuit, so y'all know.
I got on my sports sweater.
She got on her sports sweater. You gotta wear sports sweaters with sweatshirts. Jimmy, we here. Sorry, guys. We had technical difficulties. We had to switch the phone up. My laptop stopped working. Oh, wait. We can use the camera. It's a lot going on. What's up? What's up? But now I can't see who's texting. I can't see who's saying what. Oh, yes, I can. On my iPad. I'll be right back. Do something. You get not that serious. I can't see our name. Well, then you guys, listen. Just for today, when you guys put your name in the comment. There you go. There you go. Because we're not moving again. We're not moving again. Oh my gosh. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging around and checking back and going, what the heck? And coming in, and then we had to go back out again. So that's what happens when you're live, and we are always very real and transparent.
Yes,
so
yes. What's up?
Yes. It was just one of those.
Hey, listen,
days.
I just found out that I could click on somebody's name like Alexia, and I can put her in timeout. Look,
Don't put Alexia.
I mean, I was just saying if I had to, look and say put user in timeout. Oh,
No.
they done gave me an extra one. I mean, I wouldn't do that. What's up, sis?
Please don't.
What's up, sis?
Please don't. Hi, everybody. Hi, my D.
Right.
Hello,
What's up,
Alexia.
D? What's up, D?
Look, I know Jasmine Moon in the house.
Yes,
So
we know
say-
that in Chocolate Moon,
We
Midnight Moon.
know those sisters.
We know
those
everybody's
sisters
here.
Oh my
Welcome,
God.
welcome, folks. Listen, we had some technical shit going on. We ain't even gonna lie to you. We ain't gonna lie. Listen, my computer stopped working in mid trying to get here and set up. I got to get my fan plugged in because she be playing with my fluffiness and thinking that I ain't gonna sweat every day.
I'll get ready for you, though.
Yeah, okay.
Oh my gracious. So guys, I don't know how you guys weekend, but like you said, it's been crazy. But we are here, and for a lot of us, we have a long weekend because Monday is President's Day.
Yeah.
So I know I have a long weekend. I don't know if you guys ever knew.
I do.
But I am so happy. Listen, I don't know if you guys tuned into our last show, but this show is going to finish the conversation about colorism and how that's impacted your lives. What are your views regarding colorism? Last week was amazing. We have to give a special shout out to Stephen McGill, who stopped by Dope Dad 101 and the first annual Black Book Drive that they're going through for Black literacy, and they are using a Black-owned fundraising organization called Karma.
Yes.
So hopefully you guys have used the link. And I know we had the link in our bio for a while. You can definitely, Stephen is, and that's Stephen with a P, not a V.
Right. You know, one of them ST
with something silent. It's something else. So
So,
he's on Facebook and he's on IG.
and make sure you guys send some money so them kids can get some books.
Yeah, it actually was over $1,000 when I looked at it yesterday.
Yeah.
So they're actually doing pretty good. It's like I think it's another week or two. But definitely wanted to thank you guys so much for supporting him and all of that. And this is for supporting the conversation that we had. Oh my God.
I might.
What?
I won't put her in timeout. I just might.
Oh no!
Somebody got to see what the button feel like.
Oh,
but listen, let me. I got an announcement.
You doing announcements or disclaimers first?
I'm gonna do an announcement.
Okay, good.
So I got an announcement. So guess what, y'all? I was a contestant on Let's Make a Deal.
Sure was.
The other day.
She sure was.
And I can't tell y'all no more than that until it airs. But it's scheduled to air in April. I still find out one episode is airing in April. So when it come on, I'm gonna make sure y'all know because Listen, so we was doing our little taping or whatever. No thanks necessary. It was good to observe it all. And who was that saying it? I don't know. Somebody was saying it. But I can't see who y'all because I don't have my phone. It's dead. But so I'm, shooting a little game show, whatever. It took about 7 hours of taping or whatever. And the whole time I'm in a suit, right? Now, mind you, Jerome done went to work. Lonnie went out with her dad for Valentine's Day. And
I'm sorry. That's one of our guests was calling about.
She was in a store.
Sorry. Sorry, y'all.
So, right, because she just a talker and she rude as hell. You see what I'm saying?
Real life.
Right. She having a whole conversation. So anyhow, back to my story. So you could simply tell them something and then go talk. See what I'm saying? Then, so I'm in a suit. Ain't nobody home. I had to go to the bathroom. So I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, I wish I was an astronaut and put on one of them Depends or a big poise pad or something.
I felt really bad for you.
I mean, we had like little small breaks in between. Our longest break was 18 minutes. What you supposed to do in 18 minutes? Okay. Then so I'm in the house, I got a little hanger, and I'm trying to put the hanger in the zipper to try to pull it down, which I know I'm fluffy, so my shit wasn't kind of like moving like they be doing on the movies. On the movies, they put the little hanger, they could just drop it on down. It ain't work that way. So after 7 hours, the owl went to sleep because I had to rip that little joint off. That was the time. We was on that's like the bus schedule, them little 18 minutes and all that. But yeah, so that was my good tea. Yeah. The other announcement is that my podcast interview dropped this morning at about 6 a.m. So which means I got no sleep last night because we actually listened to it last night. Yeah. Kia as well as V and Alexia, we all listened to it last night before it got released to the public today. Yeah. And had a little plans from it, man. So it's my life, and I chose to share it publicly for my healing journey. And if you guys didn't hear it, I mean, you want to, I will drop the link for Love Advocates, and you can kind of head over there to see it. Yeah. And share it, man, because you never know who is going through a similar situation that just needs to hear that they're not alone, that they don't have to suffer silently, and it's okay to not be okay. So
I will say I was really, really shocked how much you really said. Like, how some people, they tell a story, but they'll switch the versions depending on the platform that they're on. No, T kept it absolutely 100. So I was like, first of all, to power through that emotion. And then she had, I ain't gonna tell you all of it, but it was this part where it was like, she was really in the thick of it. And she was like, I don't want you guys to edit this out. Like, I want people to hear how I am responding to this. Yeah. And I want them to get the rawness and the intensity so that they understand what this all is about. Oh my gosh, like it just gave me goosebumps. And, as a self-diagnosed ADD sufferer, I will have to say, I did need my little stress swishy thing, and I had a couple moments, but I was able to sit and it kept my attention. So anyway, you guys are going to be moved. I would definitely say keep a box of tissues here. Yeah, because even watching it back, man, I got teared up on myself, just hearing myself. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. But it's part of my healing journey. It's yet another chapter. Not all of it. I want to hug you. Oh, thank you. Healing takes time, man, and I'm still on this very important and necessary healing journey. The outpour of support, the outpour of folks saying, T, like, thanks for sharing your story because your story gives me strength to tell mine. Yeah. Folks that's like, damn, you so brave. But the reality of it is like, I feel like every victim is brave. Right? Yeah. Because the reality of it is that we had to be brave enough to find something to tap into to make us survive to today. Yeah. So, even though I tried to take myself out a whole bunch of different times, it didn't work. And it didn't work because my interview that was dropped today was supposed to happen so that other folks can heal. Enough of that. Thank you for what's going to come out. Yeah. You never know what Let's see. I was
amazing at the growth and could really hear the healing, especially since I've heard the story.
Yeah, I agree. I have to say I agree with you on that, Alexia. You definitely, and I think I might have texted something similar where it was literally like, oh my gosh, like I just had a flashback of like the grieving and the interviews we had, with you powering through all of the grief, and then like it's just I play it through my head, and I just think you're an amazing woman. I think you're so fearless. You're so courageous. I absolutely admire you so much.
But for real, I'm a punk like shit though. I just felt like I was going to go through this process, and I felt like I was born to serve. And so because I feel like I was born to serve, even in my body, like I felt like all of the, and you'll hear it when you listen to the podcast, all of the things that I went through, I feel like were consequences for things that I didn't deserve. And so knowing that makes me have to be humble enough to say, wow, like my situation is not unique to me, because statistics tell me I'm not the only one that was sexually assaulted as a child.
Yeah, but you probably felt like, I mean, then you
at that moment,
it's like,
you do.
Yeah.
You feel like you're alone. And because I was led to kind of share my journey publicly starting last year, I had to release this. I had to have a sit down with Terry, and thank you, brother, for performing on this platform. Yes. And it's a whole series. So go over there and follow his series. The first one was a young lady telling her story of surviving stomach cancer. So, I felt like it was necessary for me to continue to serve with my story, because there's no way I went through hell for nothing. So,
don't stop. You gotta stop, because you get me welled up.
And that's not what we're here to talk about. So, transition.
Oh my gosh, T, you're amazing. Anyway, guys, definitely check that out on Love Advocates. That's how they find it on Love Advocates. Okay. All right, so guys, last week we got so entangled in the conversation on colorism. I so appreciate you guys' participation in the comments. Definitely feel free to write long comments and say what you need to say, because we are open. We want to be respectful in all of what we're talking about today. We also want to do a trigger warning that, if you have had really, really traumatic experiences as it relates to colorism in your life, this may not necessarily be the show that you need to watch. And we love you and we support you and all of your emotional health, which is the most important. So if you need to sit this one out, guys, and come back next week when we're doing Sip and Sit. Well, actually, I won't be there next week. Next week they'll have somebody.
She got her to take them. How do you take off?
Self-care. Okay. Right. So, anywho, guys, I left you last week. T and I both left you last week with a comment that Alice Walker had indicated when she was alive, and we know that Alice Walker coined the term colorism. That's what she is known for coining. Prior to that, we know that we use words like color struck and things like that. So we actually left you guys with a question that if we don't begin to address this issue of colorism within our race, within our culture, will that stagnate us as a race? Will we fail to progress truly with these things just kind of lingering around us? And I'm just curious about what you think about that.
I think that, yes. I think that is the internal tension that it causes, right? And really, it comes from nowhere. It's kind of like I think about it like back in the day when I was in high school, we used to have like all these neighborhood beefs. Yeah, y'all know we used to have, and the beefs could be neighborhoods right up the street that we might have had to share a school bus if one of the buses broke down. Yeah. So then it's like, well, damn, we gotta go pick them up. Oh no, they get in the front or they get in the back, right? And so it was. Like, well, but why? Like, why are we beefing with these people, right? And so the same thing goes for colorism. It's like, why do we have this internal conflict with people that we don't even know? But because your first impression of their color determines either your attitude to which you're going to interact with them, or the attitude to which they're going to receive you as, or at least that's what's assumed. And so I think those assumptions make things real. It makes it difficult, because if I see a light-skinned lady, society will say that some kind of eye contact happens, some kind of interaction happens before we even make a connection. And so it's like the first impression, you never get a second chance at that, right? And so not only are we worried about the outside races looking inward, we're destroying ourselves. Because now, like, I don't even like you, but why? I don't even know this lady's name.
Yeah. But I think it goes back to what Stephen was saying last week, is that he's like, I didn't know that although I had this crush on this other girl, I ended up marrying a woman that is of lighter complexion, because it's so indoctrinated in everything that we do that I didn't even know that I was doing this.
Yeah.
So it's like, when it's so deeply rooted in our culture and our race and our history and everything, it's almost like it's a part of, I think last week I said, it's literally a part of your DNA, because I really think it goes that deep. I don't think that men are consciously choosing, not, and I know some Terrence Howard that just say ridiculous stuff about women of color, but I want to think positive and say that I don't think that all Black men are intentionally trying to offend women of dark complexion by choosing a woman that is light-skinned with the long hair and a stringy hair. I don't think that they're doing it, but I think that that's the idea of beauty. That's the ideal of what, you know, and so I think it's very interesting when we talk about how as a race we have denied colorism for so long. And I'm so happy we have drop-in guests today to shed some light on that. I'm so happy that we do have that today.
We do. And I'm going to put the link down so you guys can, last week we gave it to you. We're going to give you the opportunity again this week. If you got a lot that you want to say that you don't feel like typing, you can hit the link and, you know, join us, the convo, and keep it short. Don't come on here and try to say 7 minutes worth of stuff. We will give you about 2 minutes to get your little stuff off your chest, and then you can type the rest. But I wanted to read this comment. It says, it perpetuates division, which is crazy because we are all Black. At least white people see us as all Black.
Yeah.
That part.
Yeah. That part. And I think that's the interesting part when we as a people are like, she dark. Oh, she don't got good hair. And at the end of the day, you know, you're still to them. Yeah. You're still Black. White people don't see all this complexion and all that. It's like, she Black. Yeah. One of her parents Black, she Black. You
Here's
know
the link, folks, if you want to join us.
So listen,
click on it.
Yeah, definitely, guys. So let's get our first pop-in guest. Choose whoever you like. Thank you so much, guys, for your patience today as we try to get everything together, because we got to have a conversation about this denial. Let's welcome our first drop-in guest, Anika Tillery.
What's up, Shawty?
Hey, ladies.
Village member.
What's up, Shawty?
Hey, ladies.
Oh my God! Listen, so it was your time. It was your time.
Yes, about time.
Yeah, right.
You after this, you are going to be officially a Candid Convo.
That's right.
Family member.
That's right.
My gosh. So, oh my gosh. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Okay. So, Anika, thank you so much again for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself real quick?
Well, can I first say, T, just so you know, Kia told me I had 5 to 7 minutes.
I sure did.
So don't,
because we started late. That's not your fault. Tori.
Who she was talking to?
Stop calling.
Who she was talking to? Who she was talking?
I was just giving my disclaimer.
You got 2 already. It's like, what's up, sis, man? I love you, and I welcome to our couch, baby. Welcome.
Listen, I am so excited to be here. You know, I am one of the first to log in once you all go live.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Really enjoy the conversations, from the silliest and most craziest, as some kids to the most young. So thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
So, Anika, question. Are you comfortable with the audience as well as T and I asking you questions about your experiences as it relates to colorism?
Listen, Kia, I'm gonna ask you, are you all comfortable with the answers I'm going to give?
That's it. That's what we need.
Woo!
That's what we need. Let's get it.
All right. So, as a race, as we were stating before, we continue to deny that colorism exists in our culture. Why do you think that is?
Why do I think that is? I think really at the heart of it, we do not have enough conversations around the trauma of colorism. We don't have enough conversation around the trauma of division and where it stems from. We don't discuss that enough, and we're not discussing it early enough in order to really embrace what it triggers inside of us, what it makes us feel, what it makes us think. And when we're not doing that, it's difficult to talk about it.
And so what would you say are your earliest memories of experiencing colorism? What is the first thing that comes to your mind, experience-wise?
The first thing that comes to my mind is standing in the schoolyard in about second grade and my peers yelling out "Black and crispy, burnt, tar baby, tar baby." Right, my earliest memories.
Oh my gosh. And when they called you tar baby, did you feel like you wanted to fight? Did you feel hurt? Take us through that emotion.
Well, you know, I wasn't much of a fighter until about fifth grade. So in second grade, I don't think I fully understood what they meant by it, but I remember knowing that it had something to do with my complexion and that it wasn't good. And so I knew very early on that it just was not a good thing to be with darker skin. And kind of having those experiences from as early as 7 that I remember, it really did begin to frame my worldview. It really birthed the inception of low self-esteem, of insecurities, of not feeling good enough. And then what really supported that was the fact that I could not change my complexion. And so
Did you try?
Well, you know, I mean, I was 7, 8, 9. I didn't try, but there was nothing I could do to brighten up my complexion, right? So for that means I existed in this perpetual state of shame because I couldn't escape the ridicule, and when I looked in the mirror, I couldn't escape what they were ridiculing about.
Oh my gosh! So, what were your messages at home in terms of your color? Were you growing up in a household where your parents or your caregivers said to you, "Baby, you're beautiful," and they uplifted you, or was it a thing where you guys didn't talk?
Oh no, it was definitely, and thank God for that, for my mom, for my family. It was definitely uplifting in my home. My siblings are and as well. But you know, the truth, Tia and T, is that as much as my mom encouraged me, you know, as an adolescent, a huge part of your identity is shaped by your peers. And so it really didn't matter what my mom said. My mom had to say that, right? What I needed was the validation from my peers.
Right, because we know at a certain stage, the peer group is the strongest influence in your kid's life. And so I am curious, T, I know I like to go in because I've been wanting to talk to Nick about this, but I'm curious. So as a teenager, so that's when you were 7, did you have any experiences at the age when you wanted to date and a guy said, "Oh yeah, what's up, shorty? How you doing?" "Oh no, not you, your friend." And the friend is life.
Absolutely. I can honestly remember being in junior high school and really liking this guy. He was dark skinned as well. He had a big mole on his nose, and being excited to like him, and then knowing that guy said, "No, not her. Date the next one." So the next one was lighter. The next one was I guess more endowed physically than I was.
Yeah, some big references.
And I think, you know, I can absolutely remember being 16, 17, 18 and hearing it from even the guys I grew up with that they prefer lighter skin and why they prefer lighter skin.
And what are some of the reasons they said? Can you recall one reason they said they like lighter women?
Okay, listen, can I tell you, can I give you the dumbest reason I've ever heard?
Yeah, please do.
So the dumbest reason I've ever heard was that, you know, lighter skinned women just have, they have better bodies, and they present better. That darker skinned women don't present well.
What? Are you serious?
Insane.
They attribute a certain body type to color? I don't like to use the word dumb, but I'm going to agree with you on that one. That is the dumbest I probably what has been the most hurtful comment that you've experienced?
The most hurtful was my first love. It was my first love. And that first love is deep.
Yeah, that's deep.
I remember him coming over one day, and we were just in conversations about getting serious. And I remember him saying to me that he never really saw himself settling down with a dark-skinned woman.
Whoa!
So he told me that he actually spoke to an ex of his, and he asked the ex, "Can you see me with a dark-skinned woman?" And she said to him, "No, I can't. But if you love her, then it's okay." And I just remember thinking, I just remember angry and hurt and disappointed that what we felt for each other, our connection, our interaction was reduced down to my complexion.
And so if we fast forward, you have gone through your life, you've matriculated, you've gotten yourself a good career, you've had your own child at this point. So in all of that transitioning through all of your stages, how would you say that those experiences with colorism has impacted your life as a parent and as a Black woman right now?
Great question. So as a mom, the way it's impacted my experience, I have a son, and ironically enough, he's much lighter than me. And I've been asked when he was younger if I was the nanny because he was lighter than me. And so as a mom, I'm so intentional not to, I don't allow anyone to make jokes like call him yellow or make any type of jokes because I just don't want to begin to even breed that division and colorism. I'll tell you, as a woman, it took me, I think I was about 19 before I was able to say that I love myself. And, I think I was 20 something before I fully embraced my complexion. And I remember, just saying that Willy Wonka doesn't make chocolate like this. And, just really saying that I am who God has made me to be inside and out. And there is power and there is strength and there is awesomeness in this melanin of mine.
Yes.
And, even as a professional, I'll leave it with this one. As a professional, I was at work one day and the CEO is a tall Black woman, strong frame, dark skin, and always wears red lipstick. And I remember watching her operate in certain spaces. And can I tell you, at 30 something years old, I looked at her in amazement because the little girl inside of me had never seen that growing up. I didn't see darker women in certain positions. So to see it at 32 and 34, I was encouraged. And so it encourages me to be an encouragement to young girls. And, when I have a daughter, listen, man.
Watch out, right? Watch out there now. Because I see your fashion sense, so I know she's gonna be fly. I know she's gonna be fly. But you know what? The last question I want to leave you with, that I want to ask you, and again, thank you so much for being so transparent and just keeping it 100 with all of us. Right. I think many of us need to hear this, especially the ones that are deciding on lighter women for whatever ridiculous reasons. Did you ever have a moment where you believed it, that you were not pretty because you were dark?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, plenty of moments standing in the mirror and crying out to God and asking him, why did you make me so dark? You knew that I would experience this. Why did you make me so dark? I'm not pretty. I'm ugly. No man is going to want me because I'm dark skinned.
Wow. I'm so sorry. Because I asked you that because when you said it didn't matter what was going on at home, the peer group is the strongest influence. I definitely am going to concur with you on that again. Because I remember that it didn't matter how much my mom was like, you are prettier than all of them. And she would, if my sister's watching, she'll tell you, like, my mom was like, You prettier than all of them, baby. It don't matter. It don't matter. But it did matter.
Yeah.
It did matter. And it was so disheartening to see people like my brother. I only have one brother. My brother would probably tease and taunt me the worst. The first time I ever heard the comment about smile so that I can see you, that came from my brother. Wow. So to me, it's more hurt. What makes it worse is when we have our family members that feed and buy into that bullshit. That is crazy. And I'm gonna tell you right now, like, I think as families, we have to call them on their shit. I know he is big on that. Like, hold them accountable for the idiotic things that they say that sticks with us for years and years. Because the self-destructive behaviors that you begin to engage in because you don't even feel worthy, Anika. It's like, I'm not pretty, but I can kiss. Mm-hmm. You know, I ain't pretty, but I can drop it like it's hot. You know, it's the things that we do because we don't love ourselves. And the fact that our people feed that, it just infuriates me. And so I'm glad we're having these conversations about it, because I felt ugly for a long time. I'm talking about my first year of college, and I'm 18, 19, and I'm still sitting here just walking with my head down. It affects your posture, the way that you carry yourself, like that, those kind of things, it matters. So, you know what I'm saying?
So I mean, and the other side of it is that some of us haven't had that experience, right? Or realized that we had. I'm pretty sure at some point somebody will say something. Well, I've been called a nigga, but that's separate than colorism. But right. I don't think that for me, I don't feel like I have been a recipient of colorism, right? Mm-hmm. But I've been having some very clear conversations over this last week since we've been doing this series about some eye-opening things that I've realized, even with these two ladies right here. Yeah. With Anika and Kia the other day, because I made a statement that I didn't realize it fell into this bucket of colorism. I said, what did I say? Something about little chocolate self. Go ahead. Yeah. I said something about Anika little chocolate self coming. Her husband probably gonna be on here listening.
Wait. Say that part again real quick. Say that part for the people in the back.
I think her husband is on here looking. Let me say it, because they say if you say it, it comes true. So her husband, speak it. Her husband is on here looking, and he gonna look at it and see her little chocolate self with her little red, cute little lip. Oh, that's what I said. So then I got my head ripped off with like, forget everything else you said. Now let's circle this word right here. And so like I had to dig it because I didn't know. That wasn't my intention, right? But then I was educated on like I shouldn't have said it. And why did I call her chocolate? Was it because of her skin, or was it because of her skin? Because it couldn't have been another reason. Yeah, but and I think I need to challenge you by saying, well, do you say that to everyone, no matter what their complexion is? And so listen, this was this conversation is learning for me too, because I was naive to it, right? Because for me, when people used to call me and Tiffany, we're best friends, and people used to call us salt and pepper. And like, I'm sure we were salt and pepper because she's light and I'm darker, right? But I didn't take that personal to the point where I was offended by it. But that doesn't take away from statements made like that to people who do get offended by it, right? And so like, what could somebody like me, who's like, oh, I didn't see it that way, how can we learn how to not fall into this category amongst ourselves, even if it's in humor, even if it's in joke, even if the motive isn't to cause harm? How can we, or what do we need to do to kind of learn? But also I want to do a challenge to people. So like in my conversation, like the other day, they called me out on my shit. They didn't let me just sit there and say it. They was like, okay, so let's back up. And then they ganged up on me. I'm gonna say that too. So then they ganged up on me. Right, and they did, and Anika was on the phone, and that New York accent came out real strong. You feel me? And so I felt like my life was in danger. So, but that's another show. I'm gonna do that another time. But what I'm saying, like, you guys didn't like get offended to the point where like y'all was ridiculing me, right? Because that's would have been shut down. So I think the challenge for me to, on behalf of the folks who may not have personal experience, is to be like, okay, so if somebody makes that statement, for you guys to be able to say, you know what, now let's talk about it. But not where it's like you beating me because I said the wrong thing because I'm a grown ass woman and like I would feel chastised.
Yeah.
So like I think the education piece is
Well, I
key,
think it took time for you to learn the behavior, and it's going to take time.
What's up, bro?
For you to replace those behaviors or those habits with new habits. But I think the more that you do it, Anika, you can chime in. The more you practice, the more that you do it, and you start to replace those color kind of comments with just regular comments like this. A whole conversation that happened prior to that was me saying, "Bring on," was how gorgeous, and I always wanted to tell Anika that. Every time I saw her in any picture, the fact that this gorgeous woman would have this beautiful red lip, it was just breathtaking. And she was stunning and she captivated me. I was like, whoa. And so the first chance I got to actually talk to her on the phone was funny. Like we were doing all this, but it's like that was actually the first time I ever spoke with you one-on-one on the phone, and then your voice. And I was like, wow, why is this woman single? Like what in the world?
Y'all see her? She got her whole government name up there, and she's her writings on the wall. It's a page here on Facebook.
Writing on the wall. Yeah,
Join her group.
Love it.
Join her group.
Yeah,
husband,
definitely.
future husband. She's been ready. She's ready. We ready to walk her down the aisle to you.
I know.
Welcome.
We got another guest, but while we bringing her on, Nicole says our language choice has trivialized the seriousness of colorism.
Oh,
that is, I was actually just going to bring that up. I think
Yeah.
You asked the question, what can we do to learn? And I think it's twofold. I think oftentimes we meaning human beings, we find comfort and we take comfort in simply saying, well, that's just how I am. I didn't mean any harm. You shouldn't take any harm, right? So first of all, the first part is acknowledging that just because you are the way you are doesn't mean that someone has to receive it or just take it as you are, right?
Right.
It also has to be the reality is we want other people to be intentional in how they engage with us. And so because we know these issues exist in our community, we have to be more intentional in how we address people, and where we have to do some quick self-reflection, thinking before we speak, right? Because the reality is when we're saying things in certain circles, I should not be responsible to bear your ignorance, to educate you because you didn't want to take the time to better understand how what you say is offensive, right? Because I don't mind calling someone out, but if it's now exacerbating to my own mental health, then you make us responsible for your own ignorance. And we know this exists. So let's be intentional to educate ourselves, educate our children, have these conversations, and just honor Black women because we are amazing. And we come in all shades, and if we're going to be real, we come in all shades because at some point Master was dipping in somebody's shack and ain't nobody 100%, right? So we are all shades, and we have to honor that. We have to respect that. We have to
So many said you're right.
Right, we have to stop with this. Oh, well, I prefer this over that. We can all have a preference, but if your preference is rooted in self-hatred, I like light-skinned women because that's what's going to represent my success. Then that's self-hatred. Now, if you like dark women or light-skinned women because that's your preference, that's one thing. But if it's rooted in your own self-hatred, then brother, sister, you got a problem.
Absolutely. Well put, Anika. Well put. Alexia, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you.
Y'all know she's in the store. She's on mute. She's in the store party.
Well, unmute her.
Hello.
There you are.
Hello.
Let's see
Yes.
Let me see it.
You get into it.
Got my
Yes.
right. Coco is still safe to say, right? I can say Coco. Okay. I'm just. I know if I'm already. We already going through one rebranding.
Oh yeah, that's a beauty. Listen, you got us regardless. You know we ride or die fans. We ride or die village members. It don't matter.
Right. Shamina said she loved the hat.
Oh. Wait, thank you.
So
It's a gift.
So I'm gonna assume because you chimed in with us today that you have a story that you'd like to share about how colorism has impacted your life.
Yes, much of you guys have already said and covered so much of it. So I think that I echo the sentiment that it's important for us to have self love in our community because we see hate in enough different capacities. The one thing I will say, I think that I had to challenge myself with because I ran into a similar issue even with my kids. Is that what we don't want to do is also create like a reverse colorism type of experience? Colorism essentially, but where we have had to experience and suffer so much as darker complexion people that then we do the same thing to lighter skinned persons that we got to us, right? So then it becomes like light skinned dudes is out, light skinned girls is out, you know what I mean?
I'm glad you said
So I think that it is important because I do agree that none of it, we are who we are, we're all beautiful because we are reflecting God's beauty. So if we're created in his image, that's really what we should be looking towards. Preference, as Anika said, is preference when it comes to dating, and so that's perfectly fine. I think that what I started to see happening when I had my younger son, because Camille is a little lighter complexion, he was born, and I kept hearing, "Oh, I'm so glad. Oh, he's getting darker. Oh, I'm glad he's coming into his own complexion. Oh, he's going." And I'm like, I don't want that either.
right.
Like,
Like, isn't it crazy when they have comments with babies? Because I
yeah,
literally with V, my firstborn, her dad is dark skinned just like I am. And I literally got asked the question, was I surprised that she wasn't as dark as I was? I was thinking, she's brown. I mean, what the? Like,
it's
it was crazy some of the questions that I was being asked. I literally forgot that asked me that. What are you
that was the
surprised?
same thing with Camille.
Know that when you go in the hospital, you're supposed to look at the baby's ear.
I did
To see the doctor. If it's a male, you're supposed to look at the nut sack, the
Yeah,
seed,
or the ears, the
the
top of the
seed,
ears.
right? How
It
dark they're
was,
gonna get. Yeah.
and I got that very same thing, Kia, with Camille because her, both of us were darker complexion. So they're like, "Oh, she light and she this," and I'm like, "She's black girl. Like that's it.
Right.
Like she checks that box. That's all there is to it." And I know growing up, it took a lot to get. I know for a lot of us, it took a lot to get to the place where we can hold ourselves in high regard. Like Anika said, seeing us represented in many different capacities, from professions to athletes and all of that kind of stuff. It's great to see yourself reflected in these very high, prominent, and important roles. We just want to make sure that we don't lose ourselves in so much of that struggle. Because I've said it. I've said, "Oh, nothing like a dark skinned guy." Right. And so not that I'm coming against lighter skinned guys, again, like Anika said, unless I'm like, well, I want this darker skinned one because he represents, strength and quality and da 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 da. So I'm not demoralizing it. It is a preference. But we don't want to start to try so hard to make sure that darker complexion people are lifted up that we tear the other side down. It's not. It's
Can we get TJ? Because it's interesting that you bring that up. I would love to hear. TJ, are you here with us? She got to unmute.
Yes.
Hi, there you are. Hi, TJ.
Hey, Mom.
So for everyone who doesn't know, I've known this girl since she was in elementary school, and she is B's best friend. And I wanted to bring TJ on for two reasons. One, I wanted to get an idea of your generation. How old are you?
22.
Okay, so you're 22, and we can already see that you are absolutely beautiful. But we also can see that you are very light. Okay.
not very though. Not very.
So not very. Wait a minute. Right. Well, she got the bright light on her, so that's like okay. But I think it was interesting because when Alexia brought up the reverse of it and how we don't want to start now hating on you because you're light. So would love, and I think all of our viewers would love to hear your experiences as a high yellow chick. Yeah, I mean,
That was real.
was it hard? Was it hard for you?
You should not say that, Kia.
So the funny thing is, and Victoria knows this as well, but I've always been prejudged. Like my whole life, I've been prejudged as
Wow.
stuck up, or she thinks she's all that and this and that. But I'm the goofiest, most down to earth girl you will probably come across in life. A lot of times it would be things like, or like, people would see how light I am, and they would see my parents. They'd be like, "Is that your father, or is that your mother? That's not your mother."
Wow. What do your
Like,
parents look like? Tell them that.
So my mom is brown skinned. Both her parents are dark skinned. My mom is brown, and my dad, he's also brown. He's like a nice warm brown. Neither one of them light skinned, of course. Neither one of them are light skinned. My grandmother's dark skinned. My grandfather's dark skinned. Like my grandparents are dark skinned, brown skin, and it's just. I feel like colorism it just runs really deep. I honestly think personally it goes back to slavery. That's a whole nother conversation, I feel like. But always been prejudged, always not liked, and wanting to be people's friends and things, and not understanding why they didn't want to be friends with me. I'm like, I've never even had a conversation with this girl. But you got to think, like, people are raised under certain conditions, and for example, you're saying it starts with your own family. People are, oh, you need to stay out the sun, or etc. I hear that said to my cousins and other things like that, or TJ, you should have been in the oven longer, or it's just, and of course we're all joking and it's all out of love, but we don't really realize that at the end of the day it's colorism, and we were conditioned to think one skin color is better, or in some way better than the other.
So TJ, so you mentioned that you think that it goes back to slavery. You said that's a whole nother conversation. This the conversation
I think it just gets deep.
So what is your thoughts on it? Because I believe it goes back to slavery as well. And I said that last week, where I believe that, the competition, if you will, has been something that's been ongoing, something that started way back in slave time. Because if we be real, right? So if it's between me and you, who gonna get to eat in the big house?
Exactly.
You
get
to, and I'm gonna be in the field. But see, I would never have a problem with that because I don't know you as an individual. But way back in slave time, they put us against each other.
Yes. Yep. And that's how, and we allowed them to do it.
And so I think that it's also important that you're here, because I think even for me, I've heard it from the dark skin side, right? I've heard how we feel when people kind of like put us up against light skinned girls, or things like that. And so I think that this is the platform for you to tell, not to say that you're the representative for people that's in your complexion field, because you're not. You only represent TJ. But tell us how you feel, particularly like how has colorism affected you? Because we've discussed how it affects us as the darker skinned woman. So it'd be interesting to hear and educational to hear how colorism affected you.
I can only imagine that you have not been able to make friends because people don't certain things. People
basically
that are light, that you are not approachable.
Shamina, I am in the middle.
Or that you're conceited, or that you're arrogant. Is that what you're saying?
And before let me clear up something, TJ. Shamina, I'm in the middle. You see this? I'm in the middle. So that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
We can have a complexion we are.
To the house, but I might not been able. I might have said on the porch.
I think he wouldn't have passed the paper bag.
No.
TJ had to sneak me some lemonade and shit out the window.
I got you. But yes, it's affected me. It's affected especially in high school. Things started in middle school, but it wasn't as much. But when it got to high school, and I've always been the girl like, dang, brown skin girls got the best skin. I have always had trouble with some skin growing up. And it's so funny because I would view girls and I'm like, dang, I know she's cool and she's pretty, she's brown skin. Next thing you know, next week, she don't like me, this and that. It's rumors about me doing her man. I'm a virgin. I'm like, what? So all of this would just come from the paper bag. All of this would just come from just the skin color, just being lighter. And I never really understood it, but of course, doing my own research, and then we all know just history. It's just expected. I've also, for example, I guess people put me as to having higher expectations, I guess, or it's always
Wow.
yes, definitely having higher expectations, or I don't know, and I don't think people realize it, but it'll be more so TJ that's always been called out, TJ, oh, and it kind I got used to it, but at the same time, I'm like, is it because I'm light skinned? You know what I mean? I don't know if it's cutting out. It's kind of breaking up. Is it because I'm light skinned? But it's kind of I've gotten used to it. Unfortunately, it's not really the best way to get. Sorry, guys. I'm talking. Okay, all right. Unfortunately, it's not a good thing to get used to being called out because you're light or anything like that. But I mean, you can't really help it. I've been disliked. I've been prejudged. I've been called numerous different things. I don't want to, of course, go into too many details and go on all day, but it just, I feel like ultimately in my life, it's just affected majority, like my friendships, and I guess you could say people's expectations of me as a whole.
And that's a lot, and that's still a lot, not to minimize the fact that it's impacted friendship. I mean, so imagine that you can't be friends with someone because of your complexion and all these preconceived notions about what that means for you. I'm going to ask everyone this question. I'll start with you, TJ. So what do you think that we can do as a people to kind of close this gap? I know we are saying we are having these kind of conversations, but like you, from your personal view, and again, thank you so much for being so transparent and candid with us. But what do you think that you can do just to try to close this gap amongst not just men and women, but women on women, like the whole thing?
And then Anika, after she finished, we want to hear your insight too.
Honestly, I would say is to learn to love yourselves, because I feel like not loving yourself is what can cause for you to treat other people different. It can be a skin color thing or whatever the case may be. But if you love yourself, you're confident in yourself, and you know that God made you the way He made you, no matter the skin color, complexion, or anything, like you're not gonna be worried about not liking TJ because she's light skinned. And I feel like that will be one thing, as well as, I mean, honestly, I just feel like it starts with self-love.
Anika?
So I like what TJ said about it starting with self-love. So I'm a little torn on it, only because self-love is developed, right, over time, and it's difficult whether you're experiencing colorism in your lighter skin or you're experiencing colorism in your darker skin. If you're being ridiculed from day one, right, of your of existence, then it's difficult to love yourself because you are constantly told that yourself is not good enough. And so I think in order to support that, I'm such a huge proponent of women, older women, whether you're 20 and you're talking to teens, or you're 30s and you're talking to 20-year-olds, or you're 40s and you're talking to 30-year-olds, of us really being intentional to encourage each other, to tell each other, I see you, sis.
Yeah,
you're doing it, sis. You sis, and it not be just brought down to complexion, right? But saying to TJ, you train too. You out there killing the game. I can already tell by the way, right? Or saying someone, like, encouraging each other, and it not be centered around standards of beauty. Because when we even from my experiences of being darker skinned, right, it's this Eurocentric standard of beauty.
Yes.
None of us fit that, right? What if you're not fitting it? And when you're light skinned, you are none of us are Eurocentric beauty, right?
Exactly.
And what's happening in our communities is that it is too much of us trying to fit into a box of what beauty should look like, right? And so I think it's just to what TJ was saying, as you learn more, really embracing yourself,
Exactly.
having the attitude of screw you. Like I remember being
Yeah.
That part.
I was in Home Depot 2 years ago, and it was the craziest thing. This man walked up to me, and like he just came in my space, and he said to me, he looked at me, like he looked me up and down, and then he looked at my face, he looked at my hair, and he said to me, he said, "Sister, I just want to apologize to you." And I never met this man, so I'm looking at him.
Wow.
I want to apologize for us Black men that never saw your beauty.
Wow.
And I remember that it makes me want to cry because I remember he wasn't flirting. He didn't even stand around and have a conversation. But the fact that he was just like, I know that we have not treated you well because of how you look. And I apologize for that. And I just remember that.
And you know what? Anika, you know what? It's so funny she said that because that's kind of sort of how I felt when Steven was on the show last week. And he was like, I just got to tell you that any brother that said anything that like that was not a man. Like that's not fair. Like men don't say stuff like, you know, and it's so powerful that you never know how deep pain goes, how deep trauma impacts you, how much you suppress until something like that brings it, triggers it, makes it, and you just start feeling all these emotions. But Anika, you're amazing.
You all are amazing too. You're absolutely beautiful, beautiful Black women. Everyone on this, Alexia, that's already off, just beautiful in your own right? Like, and I think also with the self-love is us not comparing ourselves.
Yes.
To each other, right? Like we're uniquely beautiful, wonderfully created in God's image, and whatever that looks like, there's power and there's strength in that. So keep doing your thing, T, keep doing your thing, TJ, keep doing your thing, and Alexia.
And you keep doing your thing, sis. Y'all hear that? Follow these ladies. Where can they find either one of you guys if you want them to find you? Anika, where your husband gonna inbox you at, man?
Listen, okay, so there's two ways to find me. The first one, I'm going to put a plug for my business, Writings on the Wall. Writings on the Wall is an organization that works and supports women that have experienced different forms of trauma with a particular focus on sexual violence and intimate partner violence. And if I may, I just want to really share a quote that speaks to my organization. So by Andre Gibson, it says, "The trauma said, don't write these poems. Nobody wants to hear you cry about the grief inside your bones." And so at Writings on the Wall, we're absolutely about empowering you to find your voice and use your voice to bring about healing to yourself. And the way to find Writings on the Wall is you can email me at writings, WRITINGS, wall, WALL, @gmail.com. I also have a Facebook group, so if you know anyone that could use that support, please connect them. And for Mr. Hi, my name is Anika Tillery on Facebook and on Instagram. Alexia knows my name. I don't. I think it's Spoken Sound _
Yeah. I think it is. So I think I sent you something on there. I'm pretty sure I did. Anika, thank you so much for taking time out your day, your evening rather, to join us with this really, really powerful conversation about colorism and its impact. We are so proud to call you out.
T, I'm sorry, kid. Did you see what your she wrote, and you're her future husband, write down her info. She out here pimping.
Hey, listen, I got about 5 bridesmaids dresses I'm trying to put together for a while.
TJ, how can people find you if they want to connect with you?
I can be found on Instagram. I'm an aspiring business woman, hopefully. Well, it will be. I'm speaking to existence.
Well, you also are a licensed cosmetologist, ma'am.
Yes, I'm a licensed cosmetologist, and aspiring makeup artist. My Instagram is TEEJ _. That's my only social media platform that I am confident enough to show. But hopefully in the near future I will have a business page. So.
Oh yes, claim it. No, hopefully you will.
You will.
Thank you so much, ladies. Listen,
Thank you
it's been
guys for
wonderful.
having
Thank you
me.
guys, everyone, for tuning in today and hanging with us as we went through our little technical difficulties. We will see you next Friday at 7 o'clock. I'm on vacay next week, so you're gonna have B coming in real hard and strong. We don't know what B's gonna have on. And we're gonna have some strippers. Be safe, not sorry. Once again, we gotta start to work inside our circle before we allow the outside people to come in.
Yes.
It starts with being corrected when you are wrong, being educated so that you are not naive and loving up on each other. Be safe, not sorry. Wash your hands, wash your face, and you know how we are about them goddamn kids. That means it